We love our visits with Liam Hendriks. He is the White Sox all-star closer who is on a great run right now. I call him the most interesting man in Chicago sports, and he joins Waddle and Silvy right now. Liam, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling not too bad. How about you guys?
We're feeling great. We're feeling great. I mean, right now, do you feel as good as, you had that consecutive scoreless streak going the last time we spoke. Now you've converted a bunch of saves in a row. How would you grade your stuff right now?
To be honest, I think I'm getting a little lucky right now. I felt a lot better when I was in scoreless streak. But look, I've been able to make the pitches when I need to keep kind of racking up those saves and not blowing any lately. So that's the biggest thing. At the end of the day, that's my job. It doesn't matter. Run prevention is second to that, but making sure that every time I come on the field, if we're up, we stay up, and that's the plan.
Liam, from the outside, I'm sure obviously you understand there was a ton of juice heading into last night's game, Verlander versus Cease. How about inside the clubhouse and on the field as well? Same excitement because of such a great pitching matchup?
From a pitcher's point of view, yeah, I don't think the hitters are overly excited about it. But no, obviously it's a great chance for. I mean, you look at Dylan and you look at what he's able to be doing this year. This is what Verlander has been able to do for a number of consecutive years, barring the last couple injury-riddled ones. But it's great for a guy like Dylan to see what Justin can do in that situation, where it's like it's a marquee matchup, but he doesn't let it get to him. It's those things. There's little things you can glean and learn from a guy who's been doing this for a number of years and has always shown up in those big games.
Are you paying attention even a little more early in the game? Because your role never comes in until late in the game. But when you get two marquee starters, are you watching even more closely?
Not particularly. I once I get out to the bullpen and I look at the iPads and we're able to kind of I'll go through pitch by pitch to see what Cease has been doing. And then just out of curiosity, I was like, okay, what does JV got today? And you do it that way, but it's during the game. I'm doing the first few innings. I'm just doing my normal routine, trying to get into the mindset of being ready to come into that game. And regardless of the score, I mean, I could have got out of the shower and we could have been up 8-0. We could have been down 8-0. We could have been whatever role it is. I don't like to base my assumptions based on the start of the game because, I mean, how many times have the team jumped out to a big lead and then all of a sudden it's a close game in the ninth? I don't want to psych myself out of it.
Liam, how impactful was what Johnny Cutao had to say a couple of nights ago about the fire that he thought was necessary? Because it certainly seems like the last couple of nights that fire has existed.
Without a doubt, I think that there was rumbling throughout the clubhouse. I think Johnny said it perfectly, but we had a leadership meeting. I think the next day or the day after, and it was one of those ones that just coincided with the current streak that we're on right now. And it's we kind of not necessarily aired grievances, but the players had said what I think like there was probably eight or 10 guys in there. Just had a meeting, and it was like, okay, what do we need to work on? And we settled a couple of things, and it wasn't anything drastic. It wasn't anything like world shattering or anything like that. It was the group of us needed to make sure. It was like, look, we need to remain in the positives. We can't sit out there with the negatives of like, oh, well, that guy's not going to do it, so I have to kind of deal. It's like, okay, I'm going to go do it. If I don't, I have 100% faith in that guy behind me that he's going to pick me up and get it done. And that's the thing we had last year. That's the thing I think you're seeing this year. We're bringing guys into situations where they're just succeeding, where it's almost the expectation of like, hey, you're going to go to that there, you're going to do this, and then we're going to win this game.
Liam, what is the difference between a team meeting and a leadership meeting?
Team meeting involves the entire team. Leadership tends to be just the veteran guys who theoretically are looked up to by some of the younger guys. And it was that kind of role of like the guys who have been around a lot, you need to lead by example. You need to do the right thing so that everyone follows in that example. And that was mainly what it was about. But it was a very cool, like, I didn't get it out of hand by any means or anything like that. It was actually the first time I got to see the second half of the gym, which is interesting because there's a bunch of weights over there. But it was a really good and productive meeting. I think everyone had left that being like, okay, now look, this is what we need to do, and it's been able to show on the field with the leadership that these guys have.
Is that a players only thing, or does someone in management or the manager say, hey guys, I think it's a good time to meet?
No, this is a Tony run thing. He was the only coach in there. It was just Tony and a few of the players. And it was something that signaled that, like, look, this is our crunch time. This is what we need to do, and what do you guys think we need to do? And it's a collective input of knowing that this is what we think we need to handle, and let's make sure that everyone is on board with doing the same thing rather than everyone pulling in different directions.
How do you feel personally about when someone says something like Johnny through the media? Because when you were on with us a month ago, and it's why we love you, you're so candid, you're so open, you speak the truth, and you're like, look, we don't have a clique problem. We don't have any sort of rivalries in our clubhouse. But one thing we do have is sometimes we need a fire lit under our ass. And you were cool saying that to us, quote, in the media. Sometimes I think it's effective. Do you agree with that, or would you rather it be kept inside the clubhouse?
I think saying it in the media brings a spotlight to it where people can't shrug it off. There are certain times where you can keep it interior. Like, not everything needs to be had out. Sometimes it's just those little conversations that you have inside the clubhouse that don't need to go any further because both sides realize what they need to do. I think Johnny saying it, being a guy who's been around for 14, 15 years and having that respect level from everybody in this clubhouse, I think it means a lot coming from a guy like that. And it all of a sudden people realize, like, okay, he's won a ring. He's been on some teams that have done some special things. He knows what he's talking about. And that's something that I think has reiterated and been magnified throughout the clubhouse. And it was something that has kind of united everybody together. But that's the same thing we need. We need a united front. We can't be pulling in different directions, and everybody needs to be having the same goal and the same agenda, and also doing the same way of getting it done, which is something that everybody thinks they've figured it out and they've got the lock and key and they know how to do this and that. But different personalities, they rotate to different ways.
When you talked to us last, one of the topics of conversation was complacency. How do you, now that you guys have won 5 in a row and there's some momentum and there's some fire, how do you guard against complacency at this point?
Complacency for us, I think, especially as a team, it's more of a off-season thing or when you're up by a lot. I think in the midst of a hunt, you're not really complacent about anything that's going on. So I'm not too concerned with that currently. Now, if the best thing in the world happens and we go on a super streak and some of the other teams falter a little bit, then we'd have to worry about it leading into the end of the season. But currently where it stands right now, where it's the dog days and we're trying to hunt those couple teams ahead of us. And I don't think complacency should ever even come into that kind of equation when we're still chasing something.
Talk to us about your fellow bullpen members last night. Obviously, you get the final 3 outs, but that game was really, I think, kept in check by the guys that stepped onto the mound before you.
Without a doubt. I mean, this is something that we 100% out in the bullpen believe. We are 100% behind everybody in front of us. And you look at what Rui and Vince and Jimmy were able to do before I ended up getting the ball, and that's something that it just builds the confidence. I mean, Jimmy Lambert he currently has the hammer sitting in his locker, and it's something that he has just you look at the evolution of him throughout the course of the last couple of years when he was the up and down starter, getting a spot start, then spending most of the year in AAA, and then getting a spot start. And this year he's kind of taken what he can, and he's been put in the pen, and he has run with it. He's embraced it. He's been ready to go, and all he wants to do is pitch in the big leagues, and that's what he's coming out and doing lately. And it's been to absolutely fantastic results.
Liam Hendriks joining us. It's Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. We talk about the importance of Cutao as a leader and being around, like you said. What kind of a godsend has he been to the team based on performance?
I mean, obviously, as a bullpen guy, the main thing you're always looking for is length, and that's something he's been able to give us time in and time out. Even when he's kind of struggled a little bit with just not having the rhythm that he normally does, he's still able to go out there and give you 6, and that's something that is invaluable because that one inning there creates people being available 4 or 5 days from now, and that's something that as a bullpen mate, you really, really appreciate being able to kind of go out there and have a guy like that. So we're not getting overused out there, and that's something that has been fantastic now with Vinny being back and being able to go multiples, and we've got a bunch of guys out here that are able to go multiple innings. It just takes the stress off of everybody coming in every single day and having to get that job done and be crisp.
All opponents aren't created equal. They all count the same, all of these games, but wins against the Astros, do they feel even a little bit better than wins against other teams?
I said this. My wife actually asked me about this the other day, and I was like, "Look, I was annoyed about being down that last game against Detroit. I'm like, a win is a win. Like at the end of the day, like, it's all statistically the same. But from a mentality purpose, from this team, a win against the Astros right now, and the fact that they are the best team in the American League, going about it that route has been huge. Obviously, now we get a chance to do it another couple times, and hopefully we can whip out another couple and put our stamp on this and be like, no, we can compete with the best teams in this league, and we're going to go out there and prove it. That's something that I think that's the big difference. Is it's the mentality of this clubhouse. It provides you with that confidence of like, no, we didn't just do it against a team that has not exactly had the best year so far. We're doing it against a team that is the best in the American League and going out there and making an absolute statement. So everybody else needs to heed our warning.
Liam, we had a strategy meeting before the show today about balking and getting the runner over against the Astros. Can you sort of take us inside about playing against this Astros team and them being good at scouting pitching location and relaying that to the hitter? And you bring the runner 90 feet away from scoring, but you get him off second. What's the debate there in your mind?
Yeah, obviously some teams are better at relaying signs from second base than others. The Astros are one of the best, and it's something that they've always done extremely well ever since they've since they got out of their rebuild. They've done it extremely well. That's something they really harped on, and it definitely does give them an advantage. And that's something that they were obviously able to do. And it's a mindset thing from a pitcher's point of view. It's like you don't want to ever think about, okay, well, he just relayed that, so he knows what's coming, and then I got to make this one nasty because he's going to get to third base anyway at that point. But you want to make sure that you're able to take care of the batter in the box, and that's something that you need to have that confidence. And sometimes the confidence means that the runner needs to be 90 feet closer to home. But for the most part, it's all about making sure that you're confident in that singular pitch. And I mean, it worked out well. We were able to get Kyle Tucker out last night, and it turned into something. But we're not the first team that's done it. We won't be the last team that's done it, and it won't be only against the Astros or any of these teams. It's the teams that do it well. That's something that they can get into your psyche a little bit. So if we need to walk a guy over to third base to get back into our own state of mind, that's something that needs to happen.
Are you okay with that part of the game? Is it part of the game? As long as they're not banging trash cans and there's no technology used, do you consider the sign stealing portion of this something that's just part of the sport?
If they're able to garner anything on the field from what I'm doing, whether the way I'm coming set, whether they can see into my glove, that's on me. That's not on them. They're doing that. That's what every team has done for like 100 years. It's nothing new in the game. Right. Just teams are a lot better at recognizing the little ticks now. But no, I have no issue with it. It just means that I'm not doing my job correctly, and that's something that I need to work on myself. But certain times, I think, with different teams I've had, it's always been they're sometimes a little too conscientious of what the other team's doing with sign stealing and less about actually throwing a pitch. But that's another part of the whole agenda. They may not even have anything. They're just moving around a lot out there to make the impression that they do have something so that we start thinking about it.
Interesting. Liam, before we let you go, what we love about you too is you put your money where your mouth is. We had John soon after the 4th of July tragedy in Highland Park. You discussed it. And yet you're still doing, you and your wife are providing lunch for Highland Park first responders today and tomorrow. How important was it for you and your wife to do this, to show your appreciation?
Look, we just wanted to reach out, and we were flabbergasted at the fact of it was almost like a waiting list because of how many people reached out. And that's something that just warms my heart. The fact that there's a bunch of people out there trying to help out any way that they can. And it's something we wanted to make sure we used locally owned restaurants. We wanted to make sure we help the community out as much as we can. But they reached out and said, "Hey, we've got a time for you. Perfect. Let's get this thing done." And making sure that we do anything we can to know that it's not just them out there. There are other people that are caring and making sure that they're doing all right. And especially with first responders. I mean, they've gone through enough the last couple of years. We want to make sure that we can help out any which way we can and show our appreciation for the things that they do on a daily basis.
What a great message. Awesome. Liam, you're the best. We appreciate it. Keep on pitching, all right?
Thanks, Liam.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
There you go, Liam.